The Morgan Report with David Morgan.
David Morgan with you with the weekly perspective for the week ending 1 February 2019. Well, January is behind us, and as I stated in the Morgan Report earlier, that January would be a good month for the metals, and particularly gold, and we have witnessed that. Gold finally broke through the 1,300 level basis of the U.S. dollar. Recently, it was tapping at the door, the 1295 level, about 3 times. Fourth try, it went through. It's held that since, and I expect the 1300 level to be tested from the higher level down. In other words, from the 1320 level, 25, wherever we get to. Probably be some kind of sell-off to see if the 1300 level holds or not. I expect that it will, and that's very typical of commodity trading. Moving on, first article up from Steve St. Angelo, SRS Rocco Report. Something I've not been that bullish on, and that's the copper market, and yet a lot of my compadres, a lot of my peer group are. The argument is, copper's in relatively short supply, and with the EV market, the electric vehicle market, the demand on copper is just going to be astronomical. It's going to be fantastic, and these are the kind of words you hear from, as I said, some of my peer group. I'm not convinced, and I'm not going to read you this article, but Freeport-McMoRan is one of the biggest copper miners on the planet, and as Steve says, the second largest copper mining company in the world saw its stock price plummet by 15% due to poor earnings. So you can see the chart here. Again, you can go on and on. I'm more concerned with the fundamentals of copper. The old Dr. Copper is important. I don't look at copper as a leading indicator with as much significance as I used to. I think oil is a better indicator of the global economic health. Nonetheless, if I turn bullish on copper, our premium members will be the first to know. Next article up is from Reuters. Time is running out for Deutsche Bank to turn it around on its own. Sources. Well, the article points out that Deutsche Bank is considered one of the most important banks for the global financial system, along with J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, and Citigroup. True statement. The article also says that Commerzbank may merge. The article goes on to say that at the end here that it may be like mixing oil and vinegar together with questionable cost and revenue synergies. The problem with all of these banks is, one, their size, two, they're too big to bail or fail, and what the counterparty risk is. Reports on the financial health of Deutsche Bank will be out here shortly. I think they finished on Friday, so very recently, and the availability of the public on their financials will be available. They may actually show a profit for the first time in quite a few quarters. Time will tell. It's not going to go away. Merging with another bank doesn't necessarily make the problem any better, but this is a kind of financial news that we get in the mainstream. The next article up is from Market Watch. Here's how hard China's slowdown could hit global economic growth. And it shows a chart here saying that the economy of China is affected not only by the trade wars that are going on, but a general economic slowdown on a global basis. Stephen Roach, one of the best, as far as I'm concerned, says the slump in global trade is a bigger threat than markets imagine. I would certainly concur with that. They talk about 3 dangers. Noted the problems could weigh on global economic growth, weaker domestic demand in China, weaker Chinese export growth reduces demand for imports of any intermediaries and raw materials. Weaker Chinese demand pushes down prices of key global commodities like iron ore and copper. So what I'd also like to point out is this article talks about going down to maybe 2.7% or 2.3%. Really, if you factor in the amount of funding money printed and what that growth is, you'll find that it's really looking like zero growth or even negative growth, but no mainstream economist is going to tell you that. But if you actually adjust it for the amount of paper printing being done to get a true measure of growth, you might see a different picture than what's portrayed even in this article, which is somewhat negative. And I will say that, yes, China does hold a great deal of sway to the global economy. I'm not countering that thought at all. What I'm trying to state is that the way they measure things and report them aren't exactly totally accurate. Now, coming back to gold, I made a comment here at the beginning of this weekly perspective. Another Reuters article, exclusive, Venezuela plans to fly central bank gold reserves to the UAE. Source, Reuters, Venezuela will sell 15 tons of gold from central bank vaults to the United Arab Emirates in coming days in return for euros in cash, a senior official with knowledge of the plan said, as the crisis-stricken country seeks to stay solvent. Well, I'm not going to read too much into this, but, the old adage, follow the money. Well, really these days the adage should be follow the gold. That's what it's going to come down to, at least partially. It's going to be who has it and who doesn't have it, where is it, and let's say some self-serving types might be moving gold to a jurisdiction that they could escape to make their lives better at the hurtfulness to the rest of their society at large. But these are what these purported leaders do, especially at the end of the age of empire. Well, I don't think I can do any of these weeklies without at least touching on Zero Hedge. They do so many great articles during the week. This one is not one I like to report, but is absolutely necessary. From Zero Hedge, Russia warns low-yield U.S. nuke increases risk of nuclear war. Apparently, these plans were put into practice, according to a Russian source. Basically, what this is saying is that, and I'll let you read the article, according to the Trump administration, a low-yield nuke will make nuclear war less likely as the U.S. will have more flexible deterrent. The W-76-2 would be able to counter the perception by enemies, particularly Russia, according to The Guardian, by using its massive nuclear arsenal in response to a similarly small nuclear attack, since existing U.S. nukes are in hundreds of kilotons range and, quote-unquote, too big to use without massive civilian casualties. So, really, this is kind of a posturing thing. There's enough nuclear weaponry out there to destroy the world something like 10 times. I mean, it gets to be a moot point because once is enough, obviously. What's going on behind the scenes is very difficult to understand because the black ops part of the deep state on both sides has to do with the military and what their true weaponry capabilities are, not only the offensive side, but the defensive side as well. I'm not going to read too much into this. I did want to make that statement, however, because these type of articles, although they're useful, sometimes they're only used as a scare tactic. I'm not saying this isn't valid or not to be concerned, but I am saying not to be overly concerned. And I usually end with something about gold and silver, but this week I thought I'd do this article, which is kind of funny and kind of not. It's titled Highway Robbery. Thieves are breaking into cars to steal metal more valuable than gold. I've done a lot of this talking about the palladium market and the interviews I do. And if you're not on the free Morgan Report, I suggest you do subscribe. It's free, obviously. Just go to morganreport.com. First name and an email address. Of course, it's double opt-in. You have to say, yes, I do want it, and I'm not a robot. But once you do accomplish that, then you get our not only these weekly updates, but all the interviews I do during the week. Regardless, back to the article, there's a treasure trove in your car, and it's just waiting to be stolen. Basically, what this talks about is the amount of palladium that are in catalytic converters, and these people are basically jumping up underneath the car and grabbing, taking your catalytic converter, your exhaust pipes, if you will, and palladium sitting there at over about $13.50 per ounce. And obviously, it's pretty lucrative to do that. So that's as far as that goes. I'll have more to say, as time goes by, but funny, but not so funny. And this week, the most recent interview I did was actually a debate. It was basically a silver money, and it went back and forth. Philip Kennedy was in charge of the debate. I thought he did an excellent job. I was very happy with how the whole thing went as far as being fair and I think unbiased. Obviously, the conclusion reached by the general public doesn't necessarily reflect, how well I did or didn't do. The question of silver as money legally is unquestioned. It can't be, but that doesn't mean people believe that. But lawfully, it's effective I'll leave it at that. The Morgan Report goes out this weekend on the 2nd of February. Couple things. One is that a lot of our stocks are up about 25% in the month of January alone. Timing is everything. I do think that now that we're over the $1,300 level, the next challenge will be the $1,350 level in gold. I do believe that will better that mark this year. Whether we get to $1,450 or $1,550 by the end of the year remains to be determined. I'm not looking for a lot more than maybe another $100 over the $1,350 level, and it will be a challenge to get over the $1,350 level. Nonetheless, I believe that will be achieved. As far as the speculative side goes, you hear, especially anyone close to the resource sector, particularly the mining stocks, is constantly flooded with a lot of interesting emails regarding potential investments. Most of these things I would not touch. However, in our own particular case, my top pick for a junior exploration silver company doubled last year and has some great news, which we'll be reporting to our premium members, our paid members, in the March issue, the issue after this one released this weekend, regarding even better news. And then the other two that are on the speculative side certainly have a great deal of potential. In fact, it's one that I'm really as excited about as it was when I invested in Idaho General and passed that on to our members. And that was a 35-cent stock that went to $12. I really gooned it. I got out at $9. But this one has that kind of potential. I mean, people that got it for free that were early Morgan Report premium subscribers got it for roughly 35 or 40 cents. Stock's at around 60 now. It's been as high as $2, but I do think it could be a repeat of that 35-cent to $12 situation. Not next week, not next month, and not this year, but over the next 3 years, I do think it holds that kind of potential. So if you're looking for speculations that have a high upside with a low downside risk, especially now, you might consider becoming a premium member of the Morgan Report. I'll leave it at that. I'll be back with you next week, and remember, there's nothing more powerful than the truth. Hello, I'm David Morgan, publisher of the Morgan Report, and as some of you may already know, the Morgan Report is about money, metals, and mining. In fact, we cover all resources from rare earth elements to precious metals. I've been publishing on the internet for about 20 years. My primary passion is to help people build and preserve their wealth. I love to make people millionaires. I've helped thousands of people via our research in the Morgan Report, which has thousands of paid members and 10 times that amount on our free weekly updates. Here's what you'll receive from our free newsletter. To-the-point webinars, weekly analysis of the financial markets, interviews and our conference schedule, special reports such as riches and resources, and various metals price forecasts. Our paid service client base is primarily small to medium-sized business owners, professionals in the industry, or the seasoned investor who understands markets and the value of precious metals. My area of expertise includes equity analysis throughout the resource sector, energy metals, base metals. We cover startups to billion-dollar corporations. We focus on a special sector that makes money regardless of price oscillations, and the importance of precious metals due to the ongoing currency devaluations. Our team of 3 analysts and support staff can help you build and protect your wealth. It's important for you to know what other people have said. We're passionate about what we do. High integrity and trust. Tell the truth and own it. If we're wrong, we admit it. Take a long-term outlook with major assets and bet a little to win a lot with speculative situations. If you choose to become a client, you will gain financial insights very few, even professionals, recognize. You'll understand the importance of honesty in our financial system. You will understand how the money system influences almost everything in your life. You'll be prepared for the ongoing currency crisis. And finally, I've chosen to make my life's mission greater than the individual, which means my mission statement is to teach and empower people to understand the benefits of an honest monetary and financial system. It's It's been a great journey so far, and the best gains in this sector lie ahead over the next 3 to 5 years. I'm fortunate to have earned the status of being a leading authority in my field in helping others protect their wealth. You can email me at support@themorganreport.com or call my office at 480-325-0230.